Hello, everybody. Welcome back to High Vibe Chats with Marie. And this evening or morning, I've got the beautiful Sarah Lloyd here. And we met through the Women Thrive Summit space with all of the amazing speakers. There's over 50 of us in this amazing global summit. And I've just been just so blessed to have met amazing people like yourself and feeling people's energy when they're sharing in the group. And I'm like, I've got to get to know these women more. So it's so exciting to have you on, Sarah. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about yourself and what you love doing, who you serve, and the mission that's on your heart.
Yeah, it's so lovely to, like we just said, it's so lovely to meet and connect like this. So, and thank you for having me on. Yeah, so a bit about me. So I am the founder of a heart-centered PR company. So I've Indigo Soul PR was birthed probably 7 years ago now. And prior to that, I was corporate side in communications. So communications has been what I've done since I came out of well, pretty much college. So so I've yeah, that's 25 years. I worked it out. It's like, my God. um, but it was really interesting because I think the reason, I guess the story that I always share is my journey started when I had my children. So
Mm.
my awakening. I was
Yeah.
always very sensitive as a child, and I got to my 20s and that all fell by the wayside. And I went into corporate and I worked my way up the corporate ladder, and then I had my first daughter, Lucy, and very quickly after I had my second daughter, Amy. So I have two girls, and there's a 2 year age gap between them.
Mm.
Um, and I think any mum that might be listening is like 2 years between them. My God. so, so yeah, you're always constantly processing, going through. You just think you've dealt with that cycle, and then the next cycle starts again.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that you're talking about birthing your company and then this beautiful awakening with God, stepping into motherhood and having girls. Like I myself have a daughter, uh, 8 going on 18.
Oh,
And
yeah,
these beautiful um learnings and stretches and really deep love. And I think girls, boys and girls are beautiful and special and precious, but raising a girl in this feminine age and essence and understanding of self and self-love and worth, like yourself, I kind of went from this education world where I would be with, teenagers and young women and young men, and then also, working specifically with young women in that um, developmental stage where they're coming into womanhood and noticing these pieces of um, confidence and self-esteem. And I was like, I'm still having these issues as an adult, you know.
that is something I do say to the girls quite often. Like, I'm still learning. I,
Mhm.
I know you look to me for all the answers, but sometimes I don't even have the answers, and I feel like that is something I mean, I feel like that's a shift in itself anyway, because we're always learning. And I don't think we'll ever get that certificate that says you've made it. Maybe at the end.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. And it might be when they're adults. I mean, even when I think of my own journey and my mum and the thing, because my mum's Filipino, so in that growing up Australian, growing up in the Western culture was such a cultural gap, and we fought a lot. But now it's like I can say thank you, and I can really come from that place. But it took me, oh, I'm 30, I don't know how, 39 this year. Took me that long to kind of you come back tenfold and go, thank you. I actually really appreciate all
Yeah.
of that. But that heart-centeredness that comes with experience and our own journey and our leadership in our own lives. I love that that's one of your beautiful values in the work that you do. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'd love for you to share more about, I suppose, working with PR and communications in that heart-centered space, because yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of that come online with people.
for sure. I mean, that it's something, um the penny really dropped for me probably a few years after I kind of woke up to the fact that I didn't have to. So just to kind of rewind, when I'd had my two girls, and I basically thought that life would go back to the way it was, but just with kids. And how wrong was I? So, but what actually happened was I realized that, first of all, I was actually deeply unwell. I had postnatal depression. I had high functioning anxiety. I was, a control freak. It was, and I can feel that I'm unraveling a lot of those things that came up when the children were very, very small. And I mean, I had a great job at the time. I had a flexible job. So it was a video company. So we were always on video. I wasn't traveling, but equally, you'd still put the hours in. And I was picking the children up from nursery, putting them to bed, and then getting on calls because I was working for an American company and I had a global role. And, um, but I went on a retreat. It was really interesting, actually. I was on a work trip. I was away. I say I wasn't traveling, but I was away at a trade show, and I'd come across Rebecca Campbell, and I'd been reading her
I
books.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it just completely spoke to me, the Glastonbury aspect, the divine feminine. And I was kind of, what is this? I need to explore this. And I, she was running her first retreat, and I was like, I'm going. So I didn't think anything of it. I just booked it and then thought, oh, I've got to square that away with my husband. I've got two very small children. Oh, and I remember messaging him at the airport going, I've done something. And he was like, what have you done? I was like, I've booked myself on a retreat and I think I need to go. And he was like, you do absolutely need to go. I mean, my husband's so supportive in that respect. He's just
Oh,
like, you need to go, you need time. You've been running as fast as you can for the however long. You need that space for you. And it was
mm,
in that beautiful space in Glastonbury. I think there was about 20 of us women from all over the world. And, I just spent a week probably in tears, unraveling a lot of stuff and basically calling in what I'm now living in, which was a better balance, a better relationship with my children, a better relationship with myself.
mm,
And, you know, taking the skills that I've learned over the last however many years and helping other women to share their stories, because that's what really struck me. People were sharing their stories, how they'd changed their lives, set up businesses on their own, and basically just created this whole new way of being that wasn't in
mm,
the society that we know today. And I feel like one big message that I've found is that society just isn't, it doesn't really support mothers. It doesn't support women if they're, if they have that, you're either looking up doing children or you're in your career, that if you want to do both, you get very stretched
mm,
and can get very poorly. And I just felt like I just don't want that for me. I want to look after my mental health. And, sure enough, what happened after the retreat, I basically, I mean, I was laying there in the orchard going, I just don't know what to do. Like, can you send me a sign? Can you help me figure out what it is I should be doing? Because, I have got all these skills, but I just don't know what to do next. And 6 months later, I was made redundant. Well, I
mm,
was offered voluntary redundancy or another role in the business, but that was nothing to do with what I did. And basically, they just said, I just felt, take the redundancy, try and set up on my own. And what actually happened is some of those beautiful women I sat in a circle with became my first clients. And I
mm,
helped run retreats and help get them in the press telling their stories. And, you
mm,
know, just kind of that was that's kind of one aspect that I've worked with women on. But also the thing that is really becoming apparent is the more we show up in our integrity, you know, whether you, I mean, it's almost like unraveling that mask that we all wear, like, oh, I'm this person in this situation, I'm that person in that situation. And I think what I found is PR is not just about promoting yourself in the media, it's about stepping into who you truly are.
Mm.
And that's some of the deeper work that I do. People come to me and want to get in the press, but it's like, okay, well, there's this story that you can share, and you know, how does that feel in your body? You know, is it time for you to let go of that story and leave it, you know, leave it over there, and so someone can take what they need to take from that story. It's
Mm.
almost like the more we share our stories, the less the power they have over us.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to let you get a word in.
No, that's beautiful. It's the art of detachment, isn't it? Like we talk about this, the beautiful law of attraction and
Mhm.
desiring and being abundant and feeling that. Then sometimes when you're like, how can I feel that when I'm feeling this? And allowing that process to just be as it is, to release the story and
Yeah,
to honor our emotions in that moment and in that depth
yeah,
and in that same, I suppose, feels like they're like conflicting pieces of like I'm desiring this, but I'm experiencing the total opposite in the polarities of it, and just
yeah,
surrendering and letting go and detaching. And then when we do that, boom, it comes back, even faster than what we thought. But it's that allowing ourselves to feel and to release. And similarly to you, Sarah, like, I experienced very similar things where when I was, and I know you've heard a bit of this story before, and the women have in this space, but if anyone new that's listening in, I had three miscarriages back to back after my daughter. And, when she was about 3 or 4, we were trying again, so it was these expectations that society has for mothers and for women to have the family
mm,
and babies and what's next. And for me, I had no other prior knowledge that I was like, okay, I had a healthy first baby, and these are the things, and looking after myself, and I've got the job, I've got I've got all these things. But then the universe had some other gifts to throw my way through this experience that led me down that same path of coming back to self, and like you going on a retreat. And I'd never done anything like that for myself in
no, me neither.
ever,
Yeah,
and to gift and lean into yes, and to notice the stories that would come up, like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble for that. And I'm like, this is my money. I'm the one, and it was like all of these stories and facets of self. And like you, there was a lot of crying and releasing and deep reflection and letting go of the control pieces as well, and trying to solve the problems for everybody, because
yeah,
I always wanted to, and it's the perfectionist in me, where it was like acknowledging that and just letting things be. But now I've come back around where I'm like honoring the perfectionist in me, honoring those pieces of me that like to have good quality experiences and that honor the detail in the work that I do, So it's this, again, this dance that we play with the masks and the things that before they were like, have to be this here, have to be this here, have to be this here. And that shedding, it's like
yes,
I get to be the goddess in this one. I get to be the lazy mum over here. I get to, I
yeah,
get to just be. And that feminine expression and that similar experience, like in our essence, that allows us in that creative, that expression, that feeling state. This is why I love this work too. And I love that you've incorporated that in your beingness and your business and the people that are aligned to work with you. And I love that we're just going and talking about it, because it's going to be more and more in the field of bringing that harmony of the hustle masculine mindset that is still in society, and to
yeah,
find that balance.
massively. I mean, it's so funny because when after I had done retreat, and I was like, I'm going to be more feminine way of doing business. I almost went the other way. I was kind of just laying around, just but actually it's interesting because I think that in itself, I mean, I remember so in the COVID years, I had been running a membership. So I was running a membership called Connecting the Dots. I had a beautiful gathering of women. And I
Mm.
just got this vision in the November. I think it was sort of in the midst of it all. And I was like, we need to go and we need to go in the fields. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Gladiator and he's walking through and his hands are in the wheat and stuff. And it's like, oh, we
Mm.
need to go there, wherever that is. So I arranged for a retreat in Glastonbury. It was back in Glastonbury, and it was in these beautiful yurts, and we called it the fuck all retreat. Sorry about the swearing, but
All right.
basically the idea was that we would just go and be. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm done being told, we need to be a certain way, do certain things, follow certain rules. And I think it was like really appealing to my rebel nature that I didn't even know I had until I
Yeah. Yeah.
started really embodying it. And we just went and sat in these yurts and yeah, just being, we had no, it was like there was no agenda. We had this cocoon of a space, and it was like, well, we might do this, we might go there. And we were all healers. So, everybody was able to share some of their magic. There was breath work, there was sound bowls and things like that. But it was not a fixed agenda. It was kind of, let's just show up and
Yeah.
just be.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, what do we feel like doing? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the first time we did it was amazing. The second time I held it, it was funny because there were some women that came on and they were like, but what's next? What's next? It's like, there is no next. You
Yeah.
can just be. And oh my God, it's so difficult as a woman to just be.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not on the school run. You're not making dinner. You're not thinking about the next thing or whatever.
Mm.
It was so fascinating to me to see that.
Mm.
But and that then brought so I co-created a beautiful book called Wake Up Mother,
Mm.
which came out we started the process on Inbolg about 2 years ago, and the book came out last year. And
Amazing.
it was a collection of different women's stories. So again, like, it wasn't strictly PR, but it was just having that space to share and
Collaborate.
transmute
Yeah.
stories. Um,
Amazing.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that. And the collaboration of all the women coming together. And I know that you know, I myself wrote a chapter for a collaboration with Mum Magic. And again, that was something again I'd never done before, being a teacher and in the arts and the drama and dance, encouraging young people to write their own plays or to do all their things. And for me to actually sit down and write about the catalyst of being at a retreat and howling in the moonlight, having the drums, and to just allow that transformation to happen, and share this story was really powerful. So I love that vision that you had and that expression of being, and then also creating the stories in a beautiful book that people can then be inspired by. It's like the ripple effect is
yeah,
powerful. And that, yeah, you're so right with that piece of just being. We always want to plan and do things, you know, um, it's just, yeah, the mother in us, the martyr in us, noticing all of these archetypes of the nurturer. And
yeah,
I myself went on a retreat last year and supported a beautiful mentor and friend. And she's like, all of these women do so much work and we're not going to do anything. And it was called Rouse, like rouse and just like let the pleasure and the relaxation. And again, like yourself, we had things to do and there was kind of a plan, but then I was like, let's just feel into it. And I remember bringing my daughter's teepee. I brought her pink teepee down. I brought all the unicorns and the squishmallows. And then the little girl inside came to play. And if anyone doesn't know what a squishmallow is, you need
I
one.
have one.
Oh,
I have one. It's my cushion right now.
I love it. But about being like our kids just teach us how to just be and
Yeah.
wanting to play. And that's the beauty about children. They don't have those stories and they're just fully in the present. And it's noticing the little girl within us
Mm.
that has been yearning for that part to be accepted, to be in the fullness, to be in all of the emotions and just to be held. And,
Yeah.
having beautiful spaces where you do this work that is heavy and shedding is important too. But I love that, you were sharing that there is the other side of just we don't have to like think about stuff. Let's just be in each
Yeah.
other's energy as our
Yeah.
children do us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really nourishing. I think we did write a book called Shakti Farts because one of the conversations we were having was around, when you have energy shifts and you accidentally burp or you accidentally, and we just made a joke of it, and it became kind of that became part of the what we were talking about as a sisterhood. And just I feel as well like maybe there is an element of spirituality that is so deeply serious, and
Yeah.
it's almost like we do need to lighten up a little bit and have a little bit of fun with this, because you know being a grown up is serious.
No, it's like when I say like adulting is hard. Adulting can be really hard sometimes. It's like, the pressure and the responsibility. And it's like, oh my God. But then when we support each other and have a laugh and allow ourselves to cry and feel the heaviness as we are, and that
Yeah.
that beautiful sacred sisterhood or brotherhood for our men or boys that are listening, like that's another powerful space in its own. But this work that we do as women and continually choosing ourselves and leaning into those intuitive urges that go, oh, you need to go to that retreat, or you need to meet that person, or you need to take that leap of faith. And that intuition that comes online, that
Mm,
happens as you keep listening and then taking that aligned action is so powerful. And you're a
really.
testament to that,
Yeah,
which is
thank you. I mean, that is something that did used to come up, and in my old agency days my boss would go, there's how we do it and there's how you do it, and like how do you, like he was talking about securing media coverage and things like that, and the process way of doing it was, you phoned every single person on the list and you had a specific pitch and you spoke to them until they covered you. And I still work this way. I kind of just was like, I feel like I'm going to ring that person. And what happened was more often than not, I'd speak to the right person, we'd get the right piece of coverage secured, and there it was off trending, or it was off doing what it was supposed to do. And I genuinely believe that, and I still find that amazing today, right? There's still a part of me that's like, is this real? But it's, when you follow the urges and you follow the intuition and the guidance of your body, and the feelings that you have it, that you can't really go wrong, can you? To be honest.
yeah.
um and I mean, I don't know if you've ever done this where you've gone against that intuitive, like you've gone left instead of right, and then going left meant that you were late or whatever. It's as simple as that, isn't it? It's that I talk about sliding door moments
Yeah.
quite a lot. And the sliding door moment that changes your life is often the story that we need to be sharing, or it is the thing that
Mm,
is paving the way for where we need to go next.
yeah.
Feel
Yeah.
like that
I
as
love
well.
I love that. And I love, that that piece of, when you were showing that you were offered redundancy and then it's like, well, what else am I going to do? It's like that's another moment of like, okay, well, I'm going to lean into this. And I feel like many women may be experiencing moments like that where they may feel like they have been losing this part, or this feels like this is like crumbling around me, when really it's going to be the most fastest and efficient option for the growth to happen. And we don't
Yeah.
see that in the moment.
No.
And to keep trusting and to keep having the courage. Like I'm in one of those moments right now where it's like all of the yeses that got me to this point, that all the seeds that have been planted have been to, I suppose the parts of me feeling like I'm losing everything, like the house and the mortgage and the cars, and changing a career that had the stable income to leaning into the calling and into the gifts and into this next phase, and continuing to breathe and hold that energy has been a challenge and has been a lot of deep trust. And seeing my husband also rise through that and go through his own emotions, and our daughter witnessing these shifts and changes. And it's a process and a deep sense of faith and love of
Yeah.
self and the higher path, that it's like I know that's there, and I know what we're struggling through now is part of this journey for the greater good of whatever it is for our soul or for our family or for the pieces that are going to unfold from there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Mm.
it's well, it's funny you say that. It's mirroring exactly
Yeah.
what's, I mean, last year for me was a real year of letting
Mm.
things go. There was a lot fell away. In and but then also I gained a lot too. I mean, I did some amazing things. I helped support one of my friends at Glastonbury Festival, which it's always been a dream to go. And I wouldn't have done that if I'd have carried on in the path that I had done.
Yeah.
And it's, you look back, I think it's important as women, we kind of need to, and I almost do this every 3 months. It's like sense check where I stand and I look back at where I've come from. And I think we just don't do that enough. And I
No.
feel like we're always trying to get to the next thing and go in that direction. But actually, sometimes we just need to sit in the stillness of the present and go, okay, what was last year like? And you know, I'm working with and collaborating with a really lovely woman at the moment who I met on the retreat I mentioned. And we've been in each other's spaces for a few years, and we're now working together. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, don't underestimate that the people that are in your space, you might not be working with them right now, but in a few years' time, you never know. And you might be on someone's vision board. You might be, that person that is being manifested. You just,
Yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful thing as well. And yeah, I think we forget, like you say, we plant these seeds, and it's like, why don't we know what's happening right now? It's like, I want to know. But that's
Yeah.
the control freak in me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, I really love that piece of like when you are just owning yourself where you're at and just being uh that authentic part of you that connects with people and those situations, and noticing the shifts and the turns and whatever, that ripples out as well, and I know that in the last year where it was this big, massive shift internally for our relationship, my focus with my purpose and that soul mission, and a lot of
Mm.
things landing energetically, and then my body having to shift through things, it was like, okay, just be kind to yourself. You actually have achieved a lot, not only just with what you've created, but the relationships you've made around the world, like the fact that people like, oh yeah, I want to work with you on this, or yeah, sure, I'm going to come to that. And it's like those connections are the wealth,
Yeah,
that is the the gifts of going through these things. And my whole mindset in that transformation, that I feel like I'm at the edge of that now, but becoming the version of what I've been dreaming of 2 years ago, which is in the now. I mean, that's a whole other like a whole other conversation, but it's that deep trust. And yeah, just showing up for yourself, because now there are the plants are sprouting and there are amazing things happening. And it's like, okay, I feel the momentum is now moving forward, which is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and we were, and you won't be alone in that. And that's the other thing when I speak to people about my PR offering, it's, often our target audience, I hate that term, but our the people that we're trying to magnetize towards us are, the people that we're trying to work with are often on our timeline. They are versions of us
Mm.
2, 3, 5 years ago. There will be women sitting there going, should I take the leap of faith? Should I follow this path? Should I go on that retreat? Should I do this? And
Mm.
all it takes is to read about somebody else or hear about somebody else doing that and actually being okay at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this year is about the heroine's journey or the hero's journey. It's about, okay, you're not, it's the worst is not going to happen. You are safe. You are welcome. You don't need to fear
Mm.
the change that that it will inevitably bring. And actually what you might find on the other side is actually it's much better.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And this mindset is like so powerful. And my final question with this, this looking at the good life is greener on the other side and what we're calling in, like, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind for your girls? In them witnessing you, feeling you as their mom and seeing all these things of how you embody life. Like, what's your legacy you want to leave behind?
I think every mum wants to see their children do whatever makes them happy and brings them joy. And they both go to a conventional school, but also I kind of want them to find their own way. I don't want them, I want them to have a strong enough mindset that they can, you know, they don't have to conform and they don't have to go into a 9 to 5 job, because that's not the only option. I kind of want to give them that choice, that that whatever they choose it is right for them. And when I was growing up, I always thought having a 9 to 5 job, that was the thing, and you made it, and that's how it was. But I know I'm not a fool. I'm not, I can see that things are changing with technology and things like that. But what's also amazing about technology is I'm able to talk to you and you're in another continent. It's kind of, so I feel like it's embracing, all the good stuff that comes with technology, but it also embracing the good stuff, taking what resonates and leave the rest, if you like. So both my girls are very creative and they're writers, and I would never dissuade them from going in to try and be writers, or I would never have that conversation where you're not going to earn any money, that's not a job. I
Mm.
would just want them to make, whatever they do, I want them to succeed at. And
Mm.
I never thought I could, as a childhood dream, I always wanted to write books, and I've written two, and
Yay.
there's more in me. And it's that sort of thing. It's like, why chase your dreams?
Yeah.
You can go and sit and die behind a desk. It's up to you. It's like, don't feel like you have to do what the careers advisor says. You can chase your dreams and they do come true. And I think that's another thing that I feel like my legacy has been. I've written these books. My dream last year was to purchase a camper van, and he sat on the drive. It's kind of the types of dreams I want to chase. I want to have good experiences, and I want to bring a richness to the children's lives. And hopefully that's going to start this year with my van. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's funny because Judy asked me the same question, and she said,
Mm.
what gets you up in the morning? I was like, well, my girls, they're the one, I want to change the world for them. They
Yeah.
don't have to live, they can choose how they want to live. And I think
Mm.
that's the most important thing, is that telling them they have a choice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's
we all
powerful.
have a choice.
Definitely. Oh, I love that. And, the children are the future, and we are the bridge makers that get to show them so it gets to be easier, even though they'll have obstacles and things that they need to face and go through. But what we went through or going through as the role models, the leaders, the guardians, you know, doesn't have to be that way for them, because there is choice and there is another way, and there are multiple ways,
Yeah.
which we get to show them. So I
Yeah.
love. Amazing. So, Sarah, if people want to connect with you, how can they find you? I know I've tagged your beautiful business and you on Facebook, but where else can they find you, or how the best way to connect? Because you're in many spaces too.
Yeah, I am. So my primary is Instagram. So it's Sarah Lloyd underscore is PR. And my website is indigosoulpr.com. And I'm kicking off a collaboration from the 8th of February around visibility. So if anyone is interested, check me out. It's a 4-week journey where we basically embrace our peacocks, which I'm quite excited about. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
love it. Oh, the royal feels, showing yourself. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
No worries, it's so good. And if anyone is listening and want to come and listen to both of us at the summit, there are free tickets and we're both on different days. I'm on Tuesday, the 19th of March. When are you on, Sarah?
Gosh, I should know this, shouldn't I? I think I'm on the Wednesday.
Oh, perfect. And I know the women in this space, they're so supportive, and I'm so keen to, dive in and listen to all the other amazing women as well, because it's such a powerhouse
Yeah.
team of amazingness. So if you're listening, you can come in and grab some free tickets and come and see us as well. So thanks everybody for your time, and we'll have some more amazing guests on next week. Bye, everybody.